Hello again, students of level 1. This is me, your teacher Mahmoud. This is your lesson. Very easy, interesting lesson and rich of vocabulary. A terrible accident. Of course, accident everyone knows, but when it comes to terrible, it means a very, very bad. A very bad accident. That is the meaning of a terrible accident. This is a history of an accident that happened for a family in the house. So here are some questions for you. Read the passage carefully, titled "A Terrible Accident." Read it carefully, then answer the following questions. Do these exercises. Exercise 1. Of course, read carefully and answer. There are 2 questions on top of the passage. And of course, on page 16. So on page 16, we will find a history of a terrible accident. Read it carefully and do A and B and C. Exercise number 1 is very easy. Exercise A. Answer those 2 questions on top of the passage. Quite easy. B. Also, there are 5 questions, but this one on page 17, answer them carefully in full sentences. I do not think there is any difficult exercise here even to help you. Just read the passage carefully, then answer the questions in A and the questions in B. But let us go to exercise C, the same time, a terrible accident, which is also on page 17. Change these verbs to the past tense. So there are a lot of verbs on page 17 and crosswords, of course, clues. Let us change them to past tense. By the way, last class we were talking about the past tense form of the verb, particularly if they are irregular. So there are irregular verbs. To do those crosswords, cross and down clues, to do them well, we have to change those verbs into past tense form. We are not only responsible, we don't have to do the past participle form, only the past tense form, and then try to do those crosswords. That is for number C. But when we come at the end of this lesson, a terrible accident, we will find a topic, have something to do with grammar, past continuous tense. So this past continuous tense, I think it is the first time for us to have as a student of level 1. I do not think it is quite difficult, but it has something to do with that title, a terrible accident. So we have the past continuous tense as the grammatical side of our lesson of today. And as you know, dear students, as we were talking from the last class, that any sentence in English language start with a subject. Then in this case, in case of the past simple tense, just subject. After that we will have was or were, and of course was and were are the helping verbs. The past tense of is are, was and were. When I say something, I mean he, she, it. Of course, we say he was, she was, it was. A Ahmed was John. So according to the subject, we can say was or were. This is something well known for us because we have already talked about when we were talking about the past simple tense. So I, we, you, they with were. So anyway, to say was or were according to that subject. Okay, plus the verb. V is for verb, and I mean the active verb, the verbs of action, plus ing. Plus ing, because we said this continuous. Since we say past continuous, yes, it is past, was, were, but it is continuous, so we have to add ing at the end of that verb. I mean a second verb. Plus object. An object is something or somebody that this action happens for him or for it, plus adverb. And when I say adverb, I mean a time expression or a place expression which tell us when and where this action happened. So this one we call it past continuous tense. A lot of examples for the past continuous tense are there in our passage, a terrible accident. But let's have talk about the ways that we just find the sentences of past continuous tense. This tense, I mean the past continuous tense, we can find it in three different forms. Even though they have only one formula, one form, one rule for all the sentences, but the sentences of the past continuous tense, it comes in three different ways, I mean methods. Number one, or number A, we can find them in the first way in case of one long action. And when I mean action, this is what happens here, we call it action. But it should be a very long, I mean continuous, of course. Since we say continuous, that means the action, something that happens, should take a long time. So one long action. Example for that, we, of course we is a subject, were, that is it, the helping verb. So now we need the verb with ing. Talk is the active verb plus ing, so it becomes talking. Talking to the guests, that is object. Some students may say, where is the adverb? Of course, adverb and object are not the basic parts of the sentence. We can find them, or you may not. They are not the basic parts. But as you see, we said the past continuous tense has three different forms. Number one is one long action. So look at these examples. We were talking to guests. Of course, this action happened in the past and finished. But it took a long time in the past. We were talking to guests. Guests means visitors, somebody who comes and visit you at home. We were talking at the guests. Now, this one is a sample for the first form of the continuous past tense. So we understand this sentence as this kind of talking happened in the past and finished it. Now it's no longer continuous, but it took a long time in the past. Maybe they were talking to the guests about half an hour or even an hour ago. So something that happened in the past, finish it, but it was continuous in the past or took a long time, and there is only one action, talking. There aren't and isn't another action going aside or going at the same time of this one. So just we call this form as one long action. We were talking to guests. We were talking to guests. Only one action took a long time in the past, but have finished before now. That is the first sample or form of the past continuous tense, which goes with this rule. Let us go to the second one. Also, the past continuous tense, it is used, of course, to talk about actions that happened and were continuous and finished in the past, but the other form, or the form B, may be two long actions. This, of course, the opposite of that. One long action, and this one is two long actions. Since we say two long actions, of course, we will have more than one subject and more than one verb, or two actions or activities going together at the same time. But of course, those actions have the same formula or the same rule of the past continuous tense. Just here, or in the form B, we just find only two actions going together. Both of them were continuous in the past and took a long time in the past, but they are finished before the present time. We use the past continuous tense to talk about. So look, here is only one example for this. She, of course, she is the subject, was, of course, the helping verb, crying, that is the verb with the ing. She was crying, only one action which took a long time in the past. It's like the first one. But we can join these two long sentences or two long actions with as, while, and when. So as have the same meaning, of course, nearly the same meaning. You can use as or while or when. All the same, we were talking, full stop. So here are two actions. The first action was crying. The woman, Adam's wife, was crying. And another action here is talking. So the two actions, talking and crying, going together at the same time, but they finished before now. That's why we call them two long action, or we call this formula of the past continuous tense two long action. So how to put or have, the form of the two long actions, only of course it is one long action, but we join them using as or while or when. So you can say, she was crying as we were talking, full stop. But also it's possible to say, she was crying while we were talking. That's possible. Also you can say, she was crying when we were talking. Anyway, these are two actions, one long action, and that is another long action, just joined together with as, while, when, to make two long actions going together at the same time. So, before we go to the last one, also let me tell you something, that as and while and when can come at the beginning of the sentence. So sometimes you may not find them here at the middle of the sentence. No, they may come first. So I can say, as she was crying, comma, we were talking. While she was crying, comma, we were talking. When she was crying, comma. So these words that we use to join these two sentences may come at the beginning of the sentence or at the middle of the sentence, just are the same, no different. Let us go to the last form of the past continuous tense, which is one long action, of course, like that one, but interrupted. When I say interrupted, I mean finished, stopped, by a short one, another short action. So of course, in the formula C, the form C, also there are two actions, but one is long and the other is short. So the long one can continue or takes a long time, but the short one happens suddenly and it stops the first one. So we just say one long action interrupted. Of course, interrupted means finished or stopped by a short one, cut by a short one. And by the way, the one long action takes the form of the past continuous, but the short action of the short sentence takes the form of past simple. And we already knew the past simple 2 weeks or 2 days ago. We were talking about the simple past tense. So let's see the example for this. We were showing the cracks. Showing is to tell them, to point at something, the cracks. By the way, when I say cracks, I mean the forms of damage that happens on walls and furniture, of course. So we were showing them the cracks. Just it is one long action. Subject where show ing, the cracks is object. But also we need another short action. We heard a noise. So that showing, that activity, the first activity, has finished just by this short one, which is the past tense form. But also we join them with as, when, why. As, when, why. Also, like the first one, this as and when and why, you can come at the beginning of the sentence and everything is okay. No different. So we can say, as we were showing them cracks, we hear a noise. All of them can come at the middle of the sentence or at the end of the sentence. Just we call this formula one long action interrupted by a short one. The short one usually come at the form of the past simple tense. That's all for now. Till next week, we will come and talk about or go ahead in our course main videos. Thank you, dear students.